what should we do? I mean, it just seems like you wouldn't be able to survive in that type of heat. Hello there! If you're here, then you're interested in teaching in Kuwait or you have a family member moving to Kuwait. And I made this video just for you. I hope you guys enjoy it. Me and 3 other teachers just gabbing about life in Kuwait. Enjoy! All right, thank you for joining me for this teacher Q&A. Today I have Candace with me to discuss her experience teaching in Kuwait. So give us a little bio about yourself.
Okay, so hi, my name is Candace Jones. I've now been teaching, I guess, for 12 years. I started in New Jersey, where I'm from. And then after about 9 years, I decided that I wanted to go abroad. And so I had also taught in Barcelona for a little bit as part of a teacher exchange program. And so my first real abroad situation was in Kuwait at the American United School of Kuwait. And so I teach chemistry. So I was there for 1 year. And then now I'm currently teaching chemistry in China. So yeah, this is me.
So this is my 3rd year teaching in Kuwait. And I guess it would technically be like 5.5 years in the Middle East. So prior to Kuwait, my husband and I taught in Egypt, but we came partway through the year, so we were on a 2.5-year contract. Before that, I taught in London, England for a year. And then that's basically it. So that's my teaching experience. I'm from a small town in Canada called Marmara. I've done a lot of traveling. I've kind of lost count on how many countries I've been to. So yeah, I'm pretty familiar with getting out and being in different cultures and kind of adapting to different places.
I also have a degree in biology, so that was my major. I didn't really have a teacher certification when I joined, and I joined a school. This was 2004, no, 2013 or 12, long time ago. But yeah, I joined a school. I was there for 2 years. It wasn't the best school. It was in a very secluded area of Kuwait, and that's something I'll go into because I saw some of your questions about clothing and these types of things. So it really would depends on the area, and I was in an area that borders Saudi, so it was a lot more conservative. So not the best school, not the best experience, but it was fine. I really learned a lot, and then I was able to apply to BBS, which is the school I'm currently at, and I've been there for 6 years now, so it's been really good. I'm Lebanese Canadian, so I did, I grew up in Canada, and I did my schooling there, and I met my husband here, so now this is home because my husband's Kuwaiti. So I really love Kuwait. It's become home.
The first frequently asked question is, what type of clothing is recommended? Dress? Should you wear a headscarf? Are turbans okay? Can you wear sandals, flip-flops? So dress for a woman. What did you run into? What would you recommend?
Modest casual is how I would describe it.
The night I had landed there, it was 115 degrees. So it's really hot. They ask that you respect the culture. So for example, if you're showing your ankles, that you not show your shoulders, or if you're showing your shoulders, that you don't show your ankles.
Can we wear this? Can we wear that? Well, again, it depends on the area. Saudi border, very conservative. I would feel uncomfortable wearing a tank top or t-shirts there, for example, or shorts. I could not do that. But here in the main city, I wear tank tops sometimes when, during the summer, I'll wear a t-shirt. I've seen people wearing short skirts, and it's totally fine. So again, in Kuwait, it depends on the area, but for me and you, because we live in the main city and, that's where our work is, it should be totally fine.
So I would wear sandals all the time. typically I wore capri pants and a pair of sandals with a short sleeve shirt, and you don't have to cover. It's up to you if you want to, but you don't have to at all. Religious Kuwaiti women do cover, but not all of them. It's becoming very westernized. So not a lot of women cover. And if you want to wear a turban, you can, but you don't have to. So I never did. I went there thinking I would have to, and I was shocked that I didn't have to at all.
I don't know. It just depends on kind of your personal style. Like, I don't wear a lot of low cut shirts, but other women wear low cut shirts. I've seen women with like tank tops on. Some women have worn like really tight fitting clothes. If that's your style, that's okay. But like for me, I don't naturally wear that type of clothing. So I think it's more liberal than you would expect. So yeah, I think like the workplace is different than public. Obviously in the workplace, they want you to be more professional. So like closed-toed shoes, you need to have dresses that go to your knee or below your knee. You shouldn't have your shoulders exposed.
Yeah, okay, cool. So just balance, I guess. Like if you have your shoulders out, don't have your ankles out. That makes sense. And then what about for men? So that was another question. Are there standards for men? Short? Should they be below the knee? T-shirts?
Lots of men wear shorts. I don't know, like I've never really seen any men wear short shorts.
So men, I don't think it was as strict. Men would wear shorts and a t-shirt, a tank top and shorts or jeans. And so I think men have it a little bit easier.
Bermuda shorts, I think is maybe what they're called. Like they come just above the knee. Lots of men wear those, like Kuwaiti men and Western men as well. Lots of people wear shorts and sandals. Okay. It's not that common though, but I don't think it's anything that you need to be concerned about.
Second question. Well, you already kind of answered about the heat. So what are some ways that people deal with the heat in Kuwait? Like, what should we do? I mean, it just seems like you wouldn't be able to survive in that type of heat. So what did you do? What are some tips?
So first thing is you stay inside. Everything and everywhere is air conditioned. So you literally just go from the car to any building and everywhere is air conditioned. I did take my son to a park. There was a park that I can't think of the name of it now, but they have man-made grass. So Kuwait is all desert, and but I hated being inside. So we would literally just get up and go to the park at 7:00 in the morning. We'd leave by 9, and then we'd go to IHOP and go home.
It just seems like people would just feel like drying out, not being able to do anything. So what's your response to that?
It does get really hot. For sure, like especially in the summertime, like when you get here in August and probably until like October, it's pretty hot. So everything is like really, really, really air conditioned. Like it's cold. Like you're gonna go outside, you're gonna be like super hot, but you're gonna bring a sweater because if you're gonna go into a restaurant or to a mall, it's gonna be super cold. So I think that's one way that they deal with it. They just have like incredible air conditioning systems. But in terms of like getting out, personally, like we don't really go outside too much in that type of weather. It's just stifling. Like it's too hot for us to handle. But there are lots of clubs where you can go swimming. You can go to the beach. You can go into the ocean. Like you can rent kayaks. You can rent boats. I don't know if it would be like too hot to do those activities even, but you could definitely just go swimming.
So also, the kids would play inside. The building I lived in had like a foosball table and like a pool table and air hockey, but you really just stay inside. The malls are really nice. So they do have like an indoor amusement park that you could take your daughter to, for example, with like zip lining and little like rides. It's kind of like, it's really cute. So kind of like an indoor fair type thing like we would have at home, like a carnival. So they do have that inside of the malls. They have kids think it's called Kids Town or Kidsville in the malls where, they have a lot of indoor activities for kids, for example, but you really go outside early in the morning before the heat gets, before it really smacks you in the face. And then anywhere else is very well air conditioned. So that's how I dealt with it. But I did end up, I would run outside. And so I would wait till about 6 o'clock and I would run outside, even though it would still be over 100 degrees. And, you get used to it.
The good thing is that from like October to, I don't know, March, April, it's like perfect weather. It's perfect weather. So you get like 6 months of the best weather where you can be outside, you can go swimming, you can go kayaking, you can go to the parks. Isaac and I went out to the desert during the holiday and we pitched a tent and stayed the night there, had like a barbecue, had some friends out there.
I know it's my husband keeps telling me like it's gonna be hot there. You can't bring that. Like he'll be looking at my wardrobe like, oh, you're not gonna bring that. You're probably just gonna have to get a whole new wardrobe because you're gonna be sweating. You're gonna need to bring like the most expensive deodorant that you can find that can battle like any kind of odor sweat type deal.
No, I didn't. I just used right. I just used my Powder Fresh Secret. I thought I might need like the prescription strength, but I didn't.
So I will say it actually gets cool. Like, don't be quick to not pack your sweaters. Like, we have jackets here, we have scarves here. Like, I've bought sweaters here because like first thing in the morning during these like 6 months, especially around this time, December, January, and February, it's actually like cool in the morning. So it might get down to like 10 degrees Celsius. So that's sweater weather for sure.
So my normal clothes, and funny enough, after a while, 80 degrees Fahrenheit seemed cold. So I would end up having a sweater on.
Is it okay to associate with males, like taxi drivers, like in the mall, when you're out and about? If you're a woman.
Okay, so, right. So my driver that I used all the time was a male, and there was no problem with that. A lot of the taxi drivers are male. And so you just sit in the back seat and no big deal. I know if you say, for example, you were to have your own apartment, not one that was owned by the school, for example, I know that in some of those communities, it's kind of frowned upon to have a male that you're not married to in your apartment. But I also wondered how they would know, who that person is to you. So considering that you're married, I don't think you would have any issue there. I did have male friends that I would work out with and, go to the mall with and do everything like that. The only thing is, I guess people don't really show PDA. Like you might see a man and a woman holding hands, but then it's kind of assumed that they're married. But, people aren't making out in public or kissing or anything like that. So, I would go to the grocery store with my male friend and, it was no big deal. We were in the car together, and if he drove, I sat in the front seat. So that's not a big deal at all. I think the only thing, just be cautious of, public displays of affection, and that's about it. And then also, I don't use a lot of profanity anyway, but I just in public, I wouldn't use profanity because everyone speaks English anyway. So, I'm just always cautious of the person that I'm displaying in front of others. And so that's the only thing. I know that people that would get their own apartments would sometimes say that maybe their doorman would say something. But since I lived in a school provided apartment, there were all different people in the building. So no one knew who was going in and out of anybody's apartment. And I did have friends come visit me from the States. That was never a problem. And they were, males and females, and no one ever questioned me. But, I think the only thing is if you're actually within a community and not in a school sponsored apartment, that's where you have to be cautious.
I think this next one kind of like is on the same wavelength. So can you travel, walk around places without like a male? If you're a woman, can you go like with your child out alone? Can you go just on your own? Do you need to bring your husband with you or like a male with you in order to like, I guess, be safe and for it to be like culturally appropriate in Kuwait?
So no, yeah, I was only there with my son. So no, we
Mm-hmm.
would go out to lunch, we'd go out to dinner, we'd go to breakfast, and we would just the two of us. Kuwait is very safe. I think where people confuse things is that Kuwait has not had any type of terroristic or dangerous activity since 1993. And whereas compared to the United States, I mean, the week before I left for Kuwait, there was a bomb found in Times Square in New York City. And so, my parents my mother was like, don't go, don't go. And I'm like, we keep having terrorist attacks in the States left and right. And I said, they haven't had anything since 1993. So it'd been 20 years since they had anything, but the States is having stuff all the time. So I never felt like we weren't safe. We would go for walks. We'd walk to other people's houses. We'd walk to different stores. I had Benihana and like Carrabba's near me and Boston Market. So we would just walk there and go, or we'd go to the mall by ourselves. You don't need a male with you at all. And it's extremely safe.
Kuwait is a very safe country. Like, I think that the crime is incredibly low. The only crime that I've heard of has been towards nannies, so in like private homes. But there's not like a whole lot of like street crime where you're gonna get somebody who's gonna rob you or, I don't know, try to kidnap you or hurt you or something like that. So I feel like more safe, I don't know, being here because I just know that the crime is like so low. Compared to like say the States or even Canada, right? Like if you get into big cities, like the crime is pretty high in certain places, just like street crime, but there's not really street crime here. So I feel very confident being out by myself. I go out by myself a lot. Every time I tutor, I'm by myself, or I'll go to the mall by myself or to the grocery store. It's totally fine. I've even gone to like government buildings by myself where it's typically all men. And so I've had to go by myself 2 times. And the one time I went, there was a massive queue for the machine that prints our licenses. And I went to the back of the line, and this one man was like, no, go to the front. And I was like, no, it's okay. Like, I'll just wait my turn. Like, it's all good. And he's like, no, you're a woman. You go first. And all the guys moved. And I went ahead of them, like 20 people, and was like, thank you. Like, thank you so much. Like, I really appreciate it. But they have like this culture of like high respect for women.
A lot of the worries are that you can't go out on your own, or if you do go out on your own, you'll be approached by like men, maybe trying to like pick you up or like,
Yeah, but does that happen
you.
in the States, or like does that not happen? Right? Like that could happen. You might get hit on. But I think that's like a whole world thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's not any more dangerous, I think, than what it would be anywhere else.
So I think it depends. Again, this is very interesting because I look Arab.
Yeah.
I'm less likely for that to happen to me. I think if you're like an obviously Western person, that might happen. Yes, that might happen. Depends on the area. It depends on where you are.
Yeah, I've definitely like had some experiences while driving where guys had been like, put your window down and like, what's your number? And I'm like, I'm married. They're like, what's your number? And so like, yeah, they might be a little bit persistent, but I wouldn't consider, like, I didn't ever feel unsafe even when they were persistent. And that's only happened a couple of times, but like realistically for me, that's not any different than any other experience that I've had in other countries when a guy's trying to like pick me up. It just popped into my head that the other day Isaac and I had gone to a beach just for a walk in the evening, and there were these little like kind of tents open. They weren't tents, I shouldn't say that, but they maybe like an A-frame like triangle with like lights on them, and they had like carpets or mats down. There was about 3 of them spread out along the beach, and a couple of them were just women. Like there was like 4 women and their babies sitting on the beach on a mat, barbecuing, drinking tea by themselves. Like it was just super cool. It was just so cute to see like just women out there, you know, barbecuing on the beach.
What are the main do's and don'ts? So like this was along the lines of, in China, we were told not to mention the 3 T's: Tiananmen Square, Taiwan, and Tibet. So like, are there things that you just should kind of like avoid talking about in Kuwait?
The only thing that I would avoid talking about in any type of negative light is their religion or their culture. That would get, people very upset. And like I said, I'm just cautious with profanity, and I would be cautious with public displays of affection. But other than that, no, you continue with life as normal. And I didn't feel like there wasn't anything I couldn't do, and I just was aware of the culture, aware of what I had on, and that was it. As long as you're respectful, you'll be fine.
I don't know how like accurate this is, but when I first joined, they said we can't teach evolution.
Okay.
Okay, so like that's, no, I don't know. In ASK, it might be different because a lot of the kids are international. So, but for example, like AP teachers teach evolution, but because I'm not teaching a predetermined curriculum kind of thing, the government has the ability to censor. So they do censor like evolution, they censor reproduction, like we can't teach the details of that kind of thing.
Okay.
Like male and female anatomy and all of that stuff for high school kids, even though they ask for it.
Do not talk about Israel or Judaism or Jewish people. Like that is taboo for sure. Yeah, I think that would be the main one. You also would want to refrain from talking anything about the emir or the government, unless, of course, it's in a positive light. The other topics to avoid are, like with your students, would be like sexuality, gender orientations, sexual orientations, things of that nature. You would also refrain from talking about any like type of substance use or mental health problems, unless, of course, the substance topics are again in a negative light. So like with drinking and stuff like that, it would always have to be like as a negative aspect. And with mental health, it would and like suicide is another one too. That's kind of like a taboo topic. But it would have to be like discussed in a way that's like supportive, but not like directly acknowledging certain mental health conditions. Don't eat in public during Ramadan. It's in Egypt, it's a lot less strict. And so Isaac and I, the first year that we came here, we had gone out and we were starving, and it was during Ramadan. And so we were in the car driving and eating a sandwich, and we actually got like cut off by an undercover cop and was like, you're not allowed to eat during Ramadan. Like it's really strict. And we didn't realize the seriousness of it, because in Egypt, it's a lot more relaxed.
Oh, don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video if you really, really like it. Thanks for watching.